Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Oklahoma City. This is round 10. We're in draft. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen, and right away we have Morgan Chang on the left versus Alex Sittner. You get a look at Morgan there. There's Alex. And is that a Asphodel Wanderer there?
It is. And it's up against a Sedge Scorpion.
So two defensive creatures to start things off.
Yeah, Alex Sittner is somebody who has been on and off the Pro Tour for, the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to play against him in the draft portion of Worlds in 2008, so that's my familiarity with him.
Okay.
Morgan Chang is a New York-based player who is a fairly strong player. He's top-aided 2 Grand Prix over the last year, maybe year and a half. So pretty impressive.
He's always hovering around the top. He's a solid player for sure.
In there, Morgan picks up a quick 2-for-1 with Boon of Erebos. Alex Sittner going for the very aggressive Ordeal of Nylea on his Sedge Scorpion, and the Asphodel Wanderer gets the Boon of Erebos and gets to just eat that guy right up.
That's pretty
gobble,
nice.
Gobble.
Yeah. 1 mana, a couple of life, and a 2-for-1. I'll take that all day. All right.
Happily.
This is an Agent of Horizons here for Alex Sittner.
Alex Sittner,
he's got a nice little mana base going here.
Yeah, hitting all those lands perfectly.
Yeah. All right, so let's see what the 4-drop is for Morgan Chang. It is a Leaf Crown Dryad. It's going to be bestowed onto the regenerationable Asphodel Wanderer, and he's going to crash in there for 3 damage.
And that's pretty good. I mean, now he has a 3/3 regenerator, and even if Alex is somehow able to deal with that 3/3 regenerator, Morgan's going to end up with a 2/2 reach out of the deal.
And the regenerator has reach as well. I mean, we do see Alex is playing blue, so there's a chance that he could have some flyers sitting around that deck somewhere.
Yeah, as this game drags on, that could be a great brick wall for Morgan here.
I actually got a chance to take a quick look at Morgan Chang's deck. He came by and said, "What do you think?" After he did his deck build, and it looks pretty good. He had some interesting decisions during the draft portion, too, that we'll talk about as some of the cards pop up.
Wanderer getting in there for another 3. Will Alex decide to block? If he does, it's pretty telling that he's going to have a trick. I wouldn't be surprised if Morgan just let the Wanderer trade, even though it has the regeneration ability, because it would be extremely unlikely that Alex would block without a trick here.
Joseph Williams, your draft is waiting for you.
But Alex just takes the damage. That's pretty surprising there. I mean, you wonder why Alex didn't attack for 3 if his plan was to not block there.
He could have changed his mind.
Yeah, I guess maybe something happened. That, made him think
obviously
that
not
the attack
ideal.
wasn't
good. But sometimes you have to change course.
Morgan gets cracked down to 14 here by the Agent of Horizons, and another Sedge Scorpion comes down.
Fade into Antiquity there for Alex Sittner is going to take care of the Leaf Crown Dryad. That's actually exiled as well, so you can see up in Morgan Chang's graveyard area there. It's actually going to matter here because Morgan has March of the Return in his hand.
Oh, yeah.
And the exiled relevant somehow. All right, here's 5 mana for Morgan Chang. And he's got a Keepsake Gorgon. This is one of the cards that he actually had a rough decision on. He was in heavy black. As you can see, he ended up black-green. And he had a chance for a Gray Merchant of Asphodel or this Keepsake Gorgon. What do you like there, Jake?
I think it depends pretty heavily on what type of cards you have. If you have a lot of removal, cards like Read the Bones, things like that, then the Keepsake Gorgon is probably going to be the better pick.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at a lot of permanents, a lot of black permanents, then I can't imagine taking a card over the Gray Merchant of Asphodel.
All right. Vulpine Goliath here for Alex Sittner. Big dinosaur. It looks like a nice doggy, but that thing beats down very hard.
It's adorable, you know.
Yeah.
You want to feed it and bring it home and everything, but
Right.
then
I promise I'll
it's a
take it
6'5"
for
and
walks.
It's just gonna, you know, it's just gonna crush you in your sleep. Remember that it's not allowed on the couch or the bed.
Speaking of beef, Morgan Chang drops a Nessian Asp here on the table. Though that doesn't tussle very well with the Vulpine Goliath on its own, it can later, and it certainly can team up for blocks and help the cause. All right, here's Unblockable, and in they go. Alex Sittner attacks with both the Fox and the Agent of Horizon. So,
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised here if Morgan just traded the Gorgon with the Vulpine Goliath. And he's going to take 1 from trample damage, but it seems like the best play. He's had trouble drawing a 6th land here. He does have the Sip of Hemlock for when he does find that 6th land. And he's going to fall to 11 here. We're sure it's not 10? I guess it is 11.
should have got 1 damage in from the Goliath.
From the Goliath, yeah.
And then 3 from the Agent.
I thought it was a 14. That was the only...
All right.
I must have been mistaken, though. All right, so here Morgan has a few different options. He has a Vulpine Goliath of his own, which doesn't really match up too well against that Sedge Scorpion. He also has a Sip of Hemlock. However, he can cast the Vulpine Goliath and then set up the Sip of Hemlock for next turn to take out the Scorpion, if he so desires.
All right, so Morgan Chang bites the bullet and just trades off the Scorpion for the Nessian Asp, which is something that you are rarely happy to do. But Morgan decides he's going to take the safe route here. He's going to play a little bit more of a control situation here where he can get all the threats off the table and then resolve that Vulpine Goliath.
And that seems pretty reasonable here. I mean, he does have the Vulpine Goliath in hand. That Asp might cause him a problem, but it doesn't have Trample, and he does have this Wanderer in play.
Yes.
So he can basically hold it off forever.
Yes.
And Alex still does not have the 7th land that he needs to be able to monstrous this Vulpine Goliath. And there it is.
You mean the Nessian Asp, yeah.
Or the Nessian Asp, rather.
Yeah, but
I apologize.
no worries, but he did draw it there, so now Morgan Chang's going to be in a sticky spot here where he's got to decide if he wants to take, 8 damage?
Yeah, I think you just do take the 8 damage.
I think so, too.
I mean, it's pretty hard to come up with an argument to not just take the damage here.
It's just, man, the Nessian Asp is so strong even in this spot, because what it's going to do is it's going to make Morgan Chang leave up 3 mana for essentially the rest of the game. And on top of it, it looks like he didn't monstrous, though, so let's see what he's got for a follow-up play. Nessian Courser, that seems fine. But it also, at any point, Alex Sittner can turn the tables on Morgan Chang and use it to block the Vulpine Goliath indefinitely. So we've got a close one here. Alex Sittner's already down to 10 life as well. And Morgan Chang says, I'm going to be aggressive here and attack you.
And I like that attack. I think you have to apply pressure here. Alex is at 10. You have the 6/5 in play. It does have trample, so the Nessian Courser, the block still does. So,
ooh, Savage Surge is savage indeed. It's going to give +2/+2 and untap that Asp. Oof.
That's going to be pretty rough here.
Yeah, it's just big enough to eat that Fox right there. And while Morgan Chang can recoup some of that loss with his March of the Returns, it's pretty clunky here.
Yeah, and I mean, he gets to March of the Turn and leave open his regeneration mana for his Wanderer, but he's still going to be taking 3 here.
Yeah.
And that's not really what he wants to be doing.
But the Keepsake Organ's going to do serious work when it comes back down.
That's true.
He's got mana to play the Monstrosity. That thing's going to do.
Although I don't know if he's going to actually have time. He might end up having to
just throw it in front.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. 1, 2, 3. Wow! And right off the top, it's a Boon Satyr, and that's 7 exactly. So That was actually really, really close. Alex Sittner, though, pulling out the first game versus Morgan Chang.
That
Both players at 9-0.
Big draw there for Alex Sittner. I mean, he missed that 3 points of damage early on with that Asian of Horizons, and it came down to a very, very clear race in the end game. And
yeah, but it looked like it was going to favor Morgan Chang if Alex couldn't close that game out, and he found a way to do it right on top of his deck there.
And
all right, let's take a quick sneak peek at our other match. It's Austin Mowry on the right. We saw him yesterday with the blue-black deck that was really insane, and he's playing against Zach Dorsett on the left here.
Yep.
And it looks like we have a good old-fashioned rumble here. Heliod's Emissary. Wow, here's Triton Tactic. Yeah, I think that Zach was pretty far behind here anyway, and Triton Tactics would have, in a race, Triton Tactics is quite strong.
Yeah, I like that card a lot. I've told you that a few times.
I've told you how I feel about it, but I definitely recognize its upside.
Yeah.
that is a spot where it ends the game completely.
I mean, we've seen it played 3 times over the course of the last 24 hours, and every time it won the game pretty decisively.
True. That's completely untrue.
The Anger of the Gods game?
Yes, that it did okay in that one, and then the other one it was bad.
Okay?
Yeah, it saved 2 guys. He still lost 2
his 2
guys.
most important guys.
Yeah.
His opponent also lost 2 guys. Yeah. He broke even on cards against his opponent's bomb rare.
Yeah. It takes a lot to impress me, Jake. Sorry.
Jeez.
Let's take a look at our upcoming broadcast here. Magic: The Gathering Pro Tour Theros. Next weekend we're going to be in Dublin, bringing you all the action. It's standard. Very popular format, especially for the stream. You know, people love to watch standard, and this is going to be the first time that we're going to get to see the big name pros bust out their serious decks on the biggest stage possible. Also, Theros Draft, which is what we're going to be watching all day today. And you can find us at twitch.tv/magic, October 11th through 13th. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to bring you everything from the Pro Tour. A few more webcasts coming up as well. Grand Prix Louisville the weekend after that, October 19th through 20th. You and I, Jake?
We're in Grand Prix Louisville.
We'll be there. You'll also be in Dublin, though you'll be playing.
Yeah, I'll be battling in Dublin.
Yeah,
pretty excited about that.
I'll be doing coverage, so I'll see you there. We've also got Grand Prix Antwerp coming up. That's modern, one of my favorite formats.
It's a great format right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's become a lot more diverse in the recent months. Magic Online's been really good for the format in that it's continued the ebb and flow even when there's not a PTQ season or a big Grand Prix happening.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Jund maintains its lead. It had done quite well at the last one. We're going to be covering that with our European coverage team.
I feel like every mid-range deck is just being called Jund at some point or another.
You might be right. Grand Prix Valencia, Theros Limited, November 9th and 10th. GPDC, I just like saying that. It's Legacy. You don't get to see that at the GP level that often, only 1 or 2 times a year usually, at least in North America. And November 16th and 17th, we're going to be bringing you that. Grand Prix Albuquerque is standard, as is Grand Prix Vienna. And November 23rd, 24th, the following weekend is Vienna. And that is 30th through December 1st. So that's going to...
Are you going to be at those also?
I'm going to be at Albuquerque, yep.
I'll be in Albuquerque also.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, I'm doing written coverage in Albuquerque. And I'll probably be playing in D.C., so...
All right.
I'm going to go
it's
battle
me and
some
you, buddy.
Legacy.
We are...
Time and round.
We'll be hanging out the whole way.
Globe-trotting together. I'm okay with that.
So Alex Sittner's mana isn't quite as good as it was in Game 1 here in Game 2. I see 2 islands pulled right to the front for him. I think...
Say that again?
Yeah, his mana in Game 1 was perfect.
Ooh, interesting. Morgan chose to draw here.
Oh, okay.
And against the 3-color deck, I do not dislike that decision. It looks like things are still going pretty well mana-wise for Alex.
Yeah, and it definitely seemed like Alex was not going to get out to a quick start and just beat him down. I mean, Agent of Horizons is slow. The monstrous guys are slow. This is about the best he can he can come up with is a turn 3 nesting courser for beatdowns, and I mean that's good, but I think that Morgan says, I've got enough answers to that.
Oh,
that
definitely.
I can be a card up and a turn behind here.
Morgan, it's also probably pretty telling. I imagine he has some number of Dark Betrayal on his sideboard. Oh no, he doesn't.
No.
Because that's one of the situations in this format where I'd like to draw is when
Are you
I'm,
going to play? I'll be on the play.
against another black deck and I have more than one Dark Betrayal.
So he plays a Baleful Eidolon. which is going to serve blocking duty here. Let's see if he's going to throw it in front of the Nessian Courser. Yeah, he does. Morgan is definitely interested in playing the attrition game, right? With March of the Return in his deck, just trading creatures early and getting to his big keepsake Gorgon late game. He's also got a Nemesis of Immortals, and he's got ways to finish the game. He just wants to get ahead on cards, and he can do it many different ways.
And the March of the Return also works really nicely with that Baleful Eidolon that he just played there.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to for sure. Trading off. Trade.
As much as you can.
All right, here's Nylea's Presence. Draws a land off of it.
It's pretty good for him. I mean,
Yeah,
that means
it
next
is.
turn he's going to get to cast an Asp.
He does not have enough mana to regenerate his Wanderer here. So he's just going to probably take 3. And there's a 5-drop to follow up. Ooh, not to follow up. It's actually during combat. Boon Satyr is going to make it 7 damage. That card is so strong.
That card is quite absurd. One of the better rares in the set.
Yeah, it really is. Very flexible. Not a bad turn 3 play either. If your opponent hasn't done much, it hits really, really hard if you can back it up with some tricks or removal. 4 power for 3 mana.
Yeah, I mean, if your opponent doesn't play something that can block it favorably on their third turn, you can just, flash it into play, and you get to even wait and find out whether or not that's going to happen before you have to play it. It's pretty absurd.
Yeah, it really is. All right, Nemesis Immortals, though, for Morgan Chang. That's sweet.
It's a pretty big guy.
Yeah. And he's going to chump block now with his Wanderer.
That's going to make the monsters cost 1 less in this Nemesis Immortals here.
That's right. All right, so we're on Alex Sittner's turn. He's up a game, and he just says go. Sends in his guy, says go. 3 cards in hand. Morgan Chang has to be concerned here, right? Yeah, he's just going to do nothing, it looks like. He's just going to say go as well.
I think that's a good plan. I mean, it likely means that he has, more than 1 instant in hand if he's green black.
I got a glimpse of what he does have, and you're going to see it right here, but he's going to block first. Do you see it? There it is.
Ooh, nice. So he's going to get to knock this Boon Satyr off of the Nylea's Disciple.
That's right.
And he's also going to be scrying 2 here. And it looks like Alex doesn't really have much in the way of interaction.
This is one of the only ways to get a 2-for-1.
Ooh, well, it looks like Morgan Chang just scryed into a pair of Sip of Hemlocks.
Oh, really?
And he only has 5 lands in play, so it's a little bit awkward, but I think he does have enough plays for the coming turns that it's fine for him to keep both of those.
And he does complete the 2-for-1 here. This is a tall order. This is the difference between, instant speed enchantment removal or a card like in Alex Sittner's hand. He has the Fade into Antiquity, which is not an instant, and that's the difference. Morgan Chang able to pull a solid 2-for-1 there. And there's a Nessian Asp to follow up. So he's going to be drawing 2 Sip of Hemlocks. He's already drawn 1, then he's going to draw another, and then he's just going to hope to hit lands. I don't see how Morgan Chang can lose from that position, at least from what we've seen.
Yeah, I believe he also even has a Hero's Downfall in hand.
Oh, he does?
I think so.
Yeah, well, Agent of Horizon's definitely one of the ways he could lose, though. If you look, Morgan Chang has huge amount of power on the table anyway. He's already got 9.
Yeah, I mean,
he's 2-turn clock just beat down.
He's crashing away right now. It's going to be pretty hard for Alex to catch up in this spot. I mean, we've seen crazier things.
Temple of Deceit for Alex. He's going to ship away that top card thanks to the Scry ability. Still pondering his play for the turn. 6 mana. 3 cards in hand. A dead Fade into Antiquity. Deep in thought here.
Alex trying to figure out the best line of play here, I think.
All right, it's a Cavern Lampad.
So he's just trying to play as many hard-to-block threats as he possibly can. Get them onto the table.
He had to cast that for 5 because he didn't actually have a natural black mana source there.
Ooh, and again, going to get blown out here. This hero's downfall is just going to 2-for-1 Alex.
Yeah, it's 2 for 1
and,
City. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see a concession here. Morgan Chang, two
Yeah,
2-for-1s during the course of one game is extremely difficult to come
Yeah,
back
in this
from.
format, it's hard to find 2-for-1s too, because
It
Bestow is very good at deflecting them and
That's
preventing
right.
that type of thing from happening.
Yeah.
But Morgan, he picked up 2-for-1s at a pretty early stage of the game. I mean, I know this is late in the game, but as far as that type of card economy goes, this is definitely pretty deep.
All right, well, a Sedge Scorpion, not bad. I mean, at least it threatens to trade off, though. Is there a land drop here for Morgan Chang?
Well, Morgan actually has 4 different 6 drops at hand.
Does he really?
Yeah, so it's becoming pretty clear that Morgan's deck isn't the best curve we've ever seen,
Right.
but all of his cards seem reasonably powerful. So, I mean, if he draws the 6th land, he has double Sip of Hemlock, Volpine Goliath, and something else that costs 6 mana in his hand.
Catoblepus.
Ooh,
Yeah.
he has the loathsome Catoblepus.
Yeah. That will not be the first one cast, I would imagine. Although, actually, it could be if he wants to activate it. All right, so let's see what Alex Sittner comes up with here. He's got, all right, his own Martial Return. He's going to get back the Scorpion. Okay, so a 2-for-1 back in the other direction for Alex.
10 to 17? Should have been at 14.
And he's going to Boon Satyr, and he's just going to play that Scorpion. And all of a sudden, Morgan really would like to hit that land, and there it is, right off the top of Forest. And Sip of Hemlock, take 2, take 4, and Morgan Chang looks to be in an unbeatable situation here again. Though, interestingly, Alex can play around a second Sip of Hemlock by flashing in his Boon Satyr for the block.
For the chump block.
For the chump block, yeah. Not a great situation to be in. I will admit that. All right, here's a 2-drop. Oh, it is actually a full 3-drop. Okay,
Ooh.
jeez, Alex is a fighter. He does not give up here. That is a Wave Crash Triton.
You have me at 17? Or you take it?
And he is going to activate its heroic ability to keep Nessie and Asp down. So is Morgan Chang going to actually play that Catoblepus now? It is lethal.
It is lethal,
It's a
but
lethal attacker.
his opponent's guy is an X4.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if he... okay, Sip of Hemlock's a fine play there. I like that. I mean,
It also brings Alex down to 1.
Yeah.
It means that Morgan Chang can top deck his Grey Merchant of Asphodel. He has 1, and that can also be a win. Though he's also in obviously a winning board position here, as he has been really for the past 3 to 4 turns. But I got to say, Alex has found some pretty nice. He's managed to hang right in there, though. I think that Morgan Chang finding that 6th land is probably going to do it.
There's Wave Crash Train. We see that right on the side there. Pretty good card for tempo-ish blue decks. I like it a lot.
I do too.
I've had a lot of success with that alongside Thassa's Emissary. It's allowed me to crack in for tons of extra damage, not allowed my opponent to crack back, and even drawn me a few extra cards.
All right, so it looks like Alex is on the Boon Satyr plan here. There it is. And he says block. And Morgan says sure. Morgan has a Read the Bones in his hand now as well, but he's just going to cast that Catoblepus because, you know what, it's lethal.
And it can also make all the guys block the Catoblepus also.
Oh, I think it just says it has to be blocked. Anyway, nitpicking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's something to consider
right.
maybe down the right. So Morgan
yeah, there
Chang,
we see the loathsome Catoblepus
there
on the
you
side.
go. So Morgan Chang evens things up here at 1 game apiece. In impressive fashion, though, I have to say, Alex's deck definitely has play to it. He was buried early in that game and still put himself in a position where, if Morgan Chang's on lands and a few things go right, he could have clawed his way back into that game. Unfortunately for him, Morgan didn't have all lands in hand. He had all 6 drops. Started playing 1 per turn for the duration of the game, and that was about it. But a little bit of sideboarding going on here.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how happy Alex could really be with his deck here. I mean, he has a 3-color deck where he's not really generating any sort of advantage from scrying, and he's playing cards like Aquaya's Form.
Yeah.
So I think
I wouldn't be happy with
draft
that.
may have gone awry.
Yeah, it might have. It definitely seems like he salvaged a deck out of the thing, though.
Oh yeah, I mean it's certainly capable of winning games.
Yes, exactly.
Which is the best you can ask for when your draft doesn't really go as planned.
I mean, I can ask for more. I can ask for 8 gray merchants or something. But I know what you're saying, though.
And I mean, sometimes you get there with these types of decks.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a quick look at our lifetime Grand Prix top 8s while we wait for our players to finish sideboarding. A couple of them in the building here. Shuhei Nakamura's here. I don't actually know. I didn't see him yesterday after. Did he day 2? Do we know? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of obviously all of these players are some of the all-time greats.
Yeah, there's Ben Stark near the bottom of the list there with 12 Grand Prix top 8s.
Yeah, Hall of Fame
and a win.
elect.
Yep, but he's here, and he did make day 2.
Also Hall of Fame elect, Paulo Vitor, Dama Rosa.
Well, he's just in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah, from last year. Yeah. Kenji Samura, one of my favorite players of all time.
He's one of your favorites, huh?
Yeah, he's the most
Seems
fun
like a
to
really
watch.
cool guy.
He's very animated.
Uh-huh.
It's fun to play against him. It's fun to play near him at a big tournament. He's just the best.
And he's insanely good on top of all that.
Oh yeah, he's like the best.
Doesn't stop there.
I remember being in a Grand Prix in 2007, and it was block constructed, and the pacts were the new cards: the Pact of Negation, Pact of Slaughter Pact, all of those cards.
Sure.
And throughout the day, I continually sat next to Kenji, and his opponents kept playing pacts, and then the next turn he would try to stop them during their upkeep because they were going to draw their card. He was trying to stop them, and they'd like push him aside and draw their card anyway, and then he'd call the judge and they'd lose. And he'd be like, I tried to tell you.
Oh,
It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen because it happened to him, I think, 3 times.
Wow.
In one Grand Prix. And each time he tried to stop his opponent.
and they wouldn't let him.
They didn't let him. They were hell-bent on losing the game.
Wow. You're just like, yeah, no. That's such daggers. Good choice. Someone left it eye. Those were provided for use. Really? Okay. Listen.
All right, players are going to take a look now at their opening 7. See if we'll get a sweet game 3. First 2 games have been really interesting. There's Morgan, there's Alex, and we're underway. Turn 1 Sedge Scorpion versus Turn 1 Asphodel Wanderer.
So far,
you think he's just going to trade?
Like something we've seen before.
What do you think about that?
I don't like that attack from Alex. I think the Scorpion has a lot more value there than the Wanderer does.
Probably. All right, now Alex, we'll note here, Double Forest does not have all 3 colors. In fact, I believe he might miss a land drop. Yes, he did. So Morgan Chang, does his deck have the gear where he can just start powering through?
And he's seen the March of the Return, so Morgan's likely going to target himself here.
Yeah, he actually told me he was going to do that.
So a Nessian Courser coming down for Alex Sittner.
That's a return centaur for Morgan Chang. So we have a good old-fashioned centaur fight here.
Yeah, it's like jousting.
It is.
One of these centaurs is a zombie centaur, though. That's terrifying.
I mean, normally in a fight between a non-zombie centaur and a normal centaur, I take a zombie and a non-zombie, I take the zombie centaur.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about zombie centaurs is normally zombies move pretty slow, so you can just, run away from them. But
You're right
with a
about
zombie
that.
centaur, I mean, the bottom half of it's a horse. That's
All right,
not
here,
really going
is
to
this
happen.
Aqueous form here?
It is Aqueous form.
Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
So that's Artisan Sorrow for Morgan Chang. He just doesn't want to let the scry happen. I mean, the damage is important as well, as it would start to mount up. But honestly, I believe that Morgan Chang just wants to keep his opponent from scrying because he's so down on mana here, and scrying becomes really, really important when you're trying to hit land drops.
definitely.
All right, and here's the Loathsome Catoblepus. It's not the ideal 6-drop, but he'll take it.
I think it actually is a pretty ideal 6-drop here because he can force a block and then automatically 2-for-1 Alex here.
How?
Because if Alex blocks with the Courser, then he gives the Scorpion -3/-3, and if Alex blocks with the Scorpion, he gives the Courser -3/-3.
Oh, right, he does have the mana for that. Oh, yeah, great.
So it's actually very strong.
And now there's another Nessian Courser here. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's an ideal 6-drop here for Morgan. And Morgan's hand is chock full of more 6-drops, but yeah, he's going to go ahead and
no, this is great. I didn't see that. I'm glad you pointed that out, Jay, because this is fantastic for Morgan.
it's pretty ideal.
Yes. So what he did is he activated his Loathsome Catoblepus. It must be blocked. It doesn't. Alex can choose what to block with, but it must be blocked. And there's a 2-for-1. And Morgan says go.
And Morgan with just as many cards as Alex, despite having all these lands in hand, or not quite as many, but he's close.
All right, well, the land train is going to get moving here. There's an Ordeal of Nylea. It's going to pick up a counter. It's also going to do 4 to Morgan here. And Alex is going to try to dig himself out of this mana mess. And if he can get that Ordeal active, that'll be a huge help. He will not only fix his colors, he'll also fix the number of mana, and it'll just put him right back to where he needs to be here. And here's Read the Bones for Morgan Chang. So he's going to scry 2. He sees the Loathsome Catoblepus, and I believe a March of the Return.
And I think he wants both of those, to be honest.
You think so?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm pretty surprised that he didn't just go ahead and use his Sip of Hemlock to deal with that Ordealed Courser.
Oh, does he have one?
I think so.
Oh, but he had a pretty nice play lined up here.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, he can trade that off, get the 2-for-1 that way, hold the Sip of Hemlock in his hand for the next thing that comes down. It looks like Alex has another. Ooh. Yeah, so Alex is going to be able to play another Ordeal of Nylea and then search his library for 4 lands this turn.
Wow. That's kind of insane.
Yes. And yeah.
So 2 counters. Now what about that one?
Yeah, it falls off too.
Right. Oh, Rashad says it doesn't fall off.
It's 2 Ordeals not only that run. They both trigger. Yeah, they both trigger. There's 3 counters on it.
Oh, no. The first ability resolves, he has 2 counters. The second ability resolves, he has 3 counters.
Here, they're talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they'd both fall off too.
No, you're right, though.
Turns out I'm not a level 4 judge or whatever. So.
Yep. An
But-
interesting little ordeal there with the Ordeal of Nylea.
Yeah, but he did, zooming back out for this game state, that did still allow him to attack. It did still get him his 2 other colors of mana, and put Alex in a spot where he can actually fight here, though. He is going to take 7 damage. Morgan Chang is at 8, but he has been in the lead this whole time, and here's Sip of Hemlock to take that thing out, drop Alex down another couple of life points, and put Morgan Chang right back in the driver's seat, though now we actually get to see Alex Sittner unleashed as he actually has mana available for the first time this game. Even hits a natural land drop for the turn as well.
He has 6 lands at his disposal. It's going to be rough, though. I mean,
All right, he's going to have to gain a little life here with Nylea's Disciple. gain a couple.
That's pretty good. I think at this point Morgan can just crack his way through by continuing to attack with that Nemesis Immortals and advancing his board state with cards like Vulpine Goliath. Looks like Morgan even has a Cutthroat Maneuver in hand. So
it's a card he showed me in his deck. I'm not a huge fan of that one at all.
I'm not a huge fan of it either, but you know, in situations like this, against a deck like Alex's, Alex is really just trying to chip away at him. You know, he's sideboarding in cards like Aqueous for him just so he can sneak in damage because he knows that Morgan has the long game, and that Morgan, you know, he's not aggressive enough to really make his way through like a pile of Nemesis Immortals and Nessian Asps.
That's a good point, yeah. That's a lot of snakes, by the way.
So many snakes. A whole basket of them.
And there's another Loathsome Catoblepus here, so Morgan Chang developing his board, moving things forward. He played an Ilea's Presence, then he played a Loathsome Catoblepus.
It's a pretty intimidating guy, that Loathsome Catoblepus.
It's kind of nasty looking.
Yeah, I mean, he's like...
I want to bump into one of those.
He's sneezing like purple smoke.
All right, no play here for Alex Sittner.
Yes, we can expect something like a Boon Satyr.
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
Really...
Morgan Chang is definitely going to be thinking along those lines here.
But I think Morgan just cracks in with the team. Yeah, Alex is a 6.
Ship the team and activate the Loathsome Catoblepus, so this is lethal on its own.
Yeah, no, Alex is probably going to have to go for something like
End?
Voyage's End here, yeah.
There.
All right, send that snake on a voyage. So Alex Sittner doing the scry off of Voyage's End. He's going to push that card to the bottom. Still going to be taking 2 here. This is before damage. He's going to fire off that.
Yeah, that is a Cutthroat Maneuver.
Cutthroat Maneuver.
And you know, that's actually not that bad here. I mean, he's going to be gaining 8 as a result. He's going to be punching in 1 through extra damage. His Catoblepus is going to remain around, and it puts Alex down to 3.
Yeah. No, Griptide is going to take out the Catoblepus, put it back on top of the library. Still, though, even after all that, it's going to get in for 3 and gain Morgan Chang 3 life here.
Put him up to 11, and Alex is going to fall to 3 here.
Still, a nice sequence for Alex Sittner there.
Definitely.
Could have been dead many different ways that turn, but used a bunch of bounce spells to make that not happen. Here's a Horizon Chimera.
That's a pretty good one.
He did that during his upkeep so that his draw step would give him a life gain there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really powerful card. It could completely take over a game. If boards get stalled up, it makes it really hard for players to be able to chip through final points of damage.
That card is just sweet.
Yeah, it combos nicely with other card drawing effects. You know, things like Triton Fortune Hunter. I've gained as much as 3 or 4 life in a single turn with Horizon Chimera. It's a really strong card. I actually included that card in a constructed deck that I wrote about on Channel Fireball this week.
I read your article. I thought that was really interesting. I love decks like that where you play all your spells on your opponent's turn.
It's just more fun that way.
Oh, I love it.
You know, you get to see what
Why
they
rush
do
it,
before,
right? Yeah.
you know,
Wait till the
before
last
you have
minute.
to make any decisions.
Yeah.
Let's not be too hasty here.
Agree. All right. That one does not have haste, though. It does have a lot of rules text, but haste is not one of it.
Yeah.
So he gets in there for 3. Morgan astutely reminding his opponent, though, that no, not attack with that one. All right, Viper's Kiss is going to slow down that Centaur and make it into simply a 1-power creature. Now, Morgan knows his draw step here. It's the Loathsome Catoblepus that was grip-tided. Morgan attacks. He's got Boon of Erebos in hand.
Yeah, which isn't quite lethal because of that Viper's Kiss. Alex doesn't know how sweet that kiss was.
So are we going to see Nemesis Immortals here for 3 mana? A little bit of Morgan Chang's graveyard's cut off, but I don't think it'll cost too much here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
Morgan Chang, very, very solid player from New York. Thinking things through here. This is game 3. We're in the first round of the first draft of day 2 here in Oklahoma City. This is Theros.
I think this is definitely the right play, the Vulpine Goliath here. It is what I would do.
All right, well, he's going to run out the Loathsome Catoblepus here, actually.
Interesting choice.
Leaving himself with 2 mana up. And send the turn back.
Yeah, I mean, with Alex going to 4 from that draw step, I really don't like playing a 3-power guy. I think, the onus has been on Alex throughout the entirety of this game. And
Wow, here's Cavern Lampad, though. That's lethal. That's lethal.
it is
right?
lethal. Yes.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Does Morgan have anything to do to interact here?
Doesn't look like it.
Is
And,
Alex Sittner
not
just going to steal this game here?
Yeah, had Morgan used that Sip of Hemlock.
Wow,
key
and Alex
turn,
Sittner
and now
takes
his
it down.
presence.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was a sweet one. You see the shake of the head there
Yeah,
from
that was
Alex, and
that
a
was
huge
incredibly
sigh
well
of
played
relief
on Alex's part.
as
He
manages
took the opportunity
yeah,
he needed to.
as he manages to finish off Morgan Chang there 2-1 in the first round there.